for the Panther Pulse here on 93.3 The River. Good evening, everybody. Justin Foster joined by Caleb Turrentine here as it is a playoff edition of the Panther Pulse here. A week off last week due to some threat of inclement weather. And we are back here with a great show for you tonight. And got a lot to recap, Caleb. Win at Chilton County, season-closing loss to Spain Park. Your thoughts here as we enter this playoff season?
Well, I think you really look at those results and that Chilton County win probably being a bigger deal than the Spain Park result. I think, obviously you want to win them all. Week 10 games are all about getting to see where your team's at more so than results and figuring out everything before that playoff game that actually matters. So I'm really glad that we actually get to talk this week because I feel like there's a lot of talking points.
So we do have a lot to cover, that win at Chilton County, the finding out that we're hosting a home game, the Spain Park game. We will preview the playoffs. We got all that with Coach coming up. Later in the show, we talk spring sports. Coach Rachel McClure is here to talk about PHS softball. And then we chat with Coach Sean Anderson of PHS baseball. Got a couple of his guys as well to talk about the upcoming season. But we bring in now Coach Mike Vickery. Coach, how you doing?
Awesome. Great to be here tonight and excited about Friday night playoffs.
Absolutely, nothing like it. High school playoffs in the state of Alabama, and we do want to, spend a little bit of time since we didn't get to talk about Chilton County, just to kind of recap that win, and what went through your head is kind of, I don't know if you found out on the air when KO broke it to you in the interview about Helena losing, us winning, and being able to host that playoff game. What did that feel like?
Well, anytime you get to host a game, a playoff game, it's big. Chilton County. I thought played really, really hard, and we had our hands full there for a while. They finished up Week 10 last week, beat a playoff-bound Marbury team really bad, so that they finished the right way, and there was no quitting those guys that Friday night. And I think when we went up 21-0, I think, or maybe 28-0, I can't remember. I did ask for the first time if anyone had a score on the Helena game, and I think that's I think that at that point it was 21-0 or something like that. So you try to block that out. You let the pieces fall where they're made, but the kids are excited about it, and that's fun. Makes for a fun Friday night.
Yeah, that whole weekend. I mean, obviously the celebration, knowing that, being able to look ahead to a playoff game, and then all of a sudden homecoming week hits, all these activities. What was that like, especially leading into a Friday that was, obviously you want to win, but already maybe easy to look over?
Sure. Well, I think one of the harder things is those Week 10 games is when, you're kind of you're trying to get through them without injury and being smart with what you're showing and things like that. And then it was a Thursday night game, which you were a day short on that. Throw in a weather day last week where we didn't have a practice, and I think we had about 18, 20 kids out on Wednesday sick with the flu. So we had to practice in the morning, had a Wednesday after school pep rally, so we had to practice at 6 a.m. on Wednesday. So it was really hard to get guys plugged into some of those spots where we had some guys out, and so it made for a really tough week. I thought our kids battled. Our goal going into that thing was, number one, come out healthy. Number two, you always want to win the game, but how do we find a way to win? We wanted to try to keep it close into the fourth quarter and then try to let go and go play. We were able to keep it close for a while. It kind of got away from us there in the second half, and but we got out of there healthy and ready to go for next week. And that by no means takes anything away from what Spain Park did. I've been on that side when you don't have a playoff game and you're trying to build something. And what Coach Fakakis and those kids did, they played hard. It really sets you up from a positive standpoint moving into that off season. And it's very few teams in high school football finish with a win, and it's not something you do very often. The first time we did it at Northridge, we didn't make the playoffs. That was the first time in my coaching career we didn't make the playoffs, and we won the last game. And that had only happened one other time in my career. It was a state championship, right? And we had lost the last game, and so that made a different feeling, leaving that, those seniors finishing. So hats off to Spain Park and finishing it the right way.
I do want to talk to you a little bit about the illness. Is that unprecedented? Is it something you've dealt with in your career before to that extreme? And how do you kind of gauge where guys are at to determine, hey, we can give you a go, What is the thought process and decision making behind that?
Well, that was probably the most that we had in that short amount of time. It kind of hit everyone. It seemed like the same time, and some coaches included. So that was probably the most that we've had, and several schools in the area were dealing with that as well. So it wasn't just us, and you have to see, we have a great athletic training staff. They came back in, said, hey, this kid's lost 9-10 pounds. We need to get his weight up before he gets. So we're able to kind of judge. We have baseline data on all of our kids, and able to kind of judge where they are when they get back, and who can kind of go, how limited they are, and some of the older guys you have a better feel for it. Some of the younger guys you kind of have to keep an eye on a little bit more, But I thought, we had everybody that was available play their tails off, and proud of them for that. We didn't execute great, but we'll go back to the drawing board and be better for this week.
And, yeah, just specifically on the game, it's another 7A team, and we talked about that earlier in the year when you played Oak Mountain too. What does that do to prepare you for a playoff run like this, playing against a bigger, a tougher, on paper kind of team like a 7A Region 3 team specifically?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a tough schedule. I mean, those non-region games you're playing, schools with great coaching staffs. You're playing schools with, a lot of personnel, top to bottom. Look, Spain Park was probably, all things being equal, probably the best defense we played all year. I mean, they were really good up front. They got 2 SEC guys on the defensive line, and just really, really athletic defensively. I know offensively they have struggled throughout the year, but we're getting better and better. So that's a good football team, and Coach Vickery is going to have those guys, in a good position going forward.
Have you ever had a homecoming week where the game is on Thursday, and what was it like dealing with that? And I know our volleyball team had a lot of success, which is great, but another distraction outside of the sickness. How'd you kind of accommodate all of the other stuff going on and the Thursday game?
Never had a Thursday night homecoming game when trying to fit all those festivities in. So we'll have a talk about that in the future, and and make sure we're on the same page there. But that those things were said, and everything was good, and that people worked hard and made it work. A couple years ago in 2020 with COVID and all the things that we had to deal with, we learned as coaches to be a little bit more flexible. And there's times when you just have to say, you know what, let's just ride this thing out. Let's see it through. We're not going to panic and freak out when we have to change our schedules and those kind of things anymore. So, so because you learn your lessons through that, some valuable lessons, and we were able to, just kind of say, hey, look, we can't control all this. We, do what we can do. Let's appreciate the people that are here working for us, and go play the best we can on Thursday.
And then on the plus side of that, I know a lot of teams schedule that Thursday Week 10 game. You get just that extra day. Obviously some teams just take Week 10 off completely. But now that when you make that shift into playoff mode, even going out and scouting on Friday night, how much does that help you just maybe be able to turn the page and get over, obviously, a Week 10 loss?
It does. I've said it on here several times. I'm not a fan of Thursday games. I don't really care the circumstances. I like the Friday night games, even Week 10. So, I like the routine. I like everything to be the same. There's so many teams now that play on Thursday that last week, so, you miss. The scouting thing may not even happen. So going into that last week, Hueytown played on Thursday night, Northridge played on Friday. So until when we had an opportunity to play Hueytown, we knew we weren't going to be able to see Hueytown. We were able to see Northridge when it became Northridge that we were playing. So it just kind of varies between who you're matched up with and where they are. I still like the Fridays, even that Week 10, but it makes that weekend gives you some time to kind of wipe the Week 10 clean and start over. But in the future, we really like that Friday night atmosphere.
So even with the kind of wonky week, a lot of sickness, what takeaways were you able to take from this game, positive, negative, and things to carry over into the playoffs?
We a lot of positives. We played some guys that hadn't played much all year, and saw some good things out of them. And I think that creates some depth. We've been fortunate. We've lost a couple kids from season-ending injury, but overall we've been pretty fortunate where we've been with kids not able to play. So we haven't had a lot of rotation in there, offensive line-wise, defensively. And we played some different guys in some different spots on Friday night up front. And saw some good things. So it creates some depth. again, got out of it healthy, and you know, I think we really didn't have a backup quarterback for the game, so we had to be very careful about that. You know, that was one of those things where you just try to get through it without anything, you know, really bad happening, and we were able to do that.
And before we get into Northridge, which I know we'll talk more on in the next segment, but with the playoff game, you talk about it being so important to be at home. But this year, you know, y'all are just 2-3 at home. And then the last 2 years losing that home playoff game, I know you're not being here, but obviously it being with these kids, is this an extra chance, as an extra motivation, having that chance again to maybe just be better at a home field in front of your home fans?
I mean, I think so. I mean, it's you know, I can't speak for the previous 2 years, but you know, regardless of record, you still want that home game. You know, you still want to play it at home, and you know, we've played you know, the 3 games that we've lost. We've been 3 good football teams that we lost on our home field against, and you know, we're always ready to go back and try to, you know, those seniors and the kids that may never play again, you know, it's one last opportunity to play in front of their home crowd and on their home field, and for that memory, and then the next one, if you can get it home, or the next one, whatever, you cherish these last few home games that you have. So happy for them, and would definitely rather have it at home than anywhere else.
Well, we are going to turn our attention to Northridge. We're changing up the schedule a little bit tonight. Coach is going to stay with us, so we will talk all things playoffs right after this. We will take a quick break here from Zapata. More from the Panther Pulse with Coach Vic right after this on 93.3 The River.
State Farm Insurance Agent Joseph Chambers is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River and all things Pelham. Joseph and his staff can take care of your home and auto insurance needs as well as life insurance. State Farm was recently ranked #1 by J.D. Power and Associates for life insurance customer satisfaction. Joseph's office is located in the Canyon Park Office Center. His number is 205-663-3276. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Work is a part of all of us. We know that the world around us has changed, and that's why the Alabama Department of Labor is here to get you back to working hard. Work is a part of all of us. Let us help you get back to it by visiting your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the USDOL, ETA, and Federal WIOA, and Equal Opportunity Employer Program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Zapata Mexican Restaurant is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River. Zapata is a local, family-owned and operated business. Proud to have been a part of the Pelham area for more than 20 years. They have more than 100 authentic and delicious Mexican dishes to choose from. There's something for everyone, from salads to steak fajitas to chicken fingers. They also have excellent vegetarian options and a kid-friendly menu. Zapata Mexican Restaurant, where Valleydale meets Highway 31 in Pelham.
The interstate is backed up this morning due to an accident.
So you don't like sitting still on the interstate? Get the free Algo traffic app. With Algo, you'll have the information you need to avoid problems on your route, to work, to home. Traffic backups, wrecks, lane closures, all with current info and live traffic camera feeds. Know before you go with Algo Traffic, ALGO Traffic from the Alabama Department of Transportation. Get it today and arrive on time.
Sponsored by LDOT, ABA, and this station.
Back here from Zapata Mexican Restaurant, here for a playoff Panther Pulse. I want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, Joseph Chambers, your State Farm Insurance Agent, and Zapata Mexican Restaurant. Coming up in the show, we switch gears to baseball and softball. We'll talk to several key players from the Panthers football team, but we continue our chat with Coach Vic now, and we turn our attention to a familiar foe, and couldn't be any other way, could it, Coach? Northridge, previous team, is the playoff matchup. Your first playoff game at Pelham. Get to host it at Ned Bearden Stadium. How does all that feel coming together at once?
Well, I think back in April when I was hired here at Pelham, we knew the matchup, our regions matched up, and I think I said at that time, somehow, some way, the football gods would make sure that happened, and so one way or the other, you know, Helena never had a chance to win that game, you know, because it was always the gods were in control of that, I guess, that last game. But anyway, no, it's good. I mean, the special place, special community with good kids, and you know, love my time there, and look forward to seeing those guys. But at the end of the day, it's about Pelham versus Northridge, and us doing our job as coaches, having our guys ready to play.
And now, I mean, obviously teams change from year to year, but you're looking at it maybe having a little bit of knowledge of at least what different players bring in. But how much have they changed since when you left them, when you last saw them?
Well, most of the guys that are there, I mean, they're all of them there were there in April when I left. What they're doing has changed, and Coach Lawley is a really good coach, good friend, and is doing a great job with them and putting them in a position to be successful. And it's fun to follow them and those kids, and I know our kids are excited about playing them. They got some good players, and our kids are excited about going and hosting them on our field.
So you've got two sides to this. You have them kind of knowing you, and you've coached a lot of these kids, and they know how you operate. You know how they operate. Is there any sort of advantage there, one side or the other? Is there any change in your preparation, knowing there's some familiarity on both sides?
Well, we had to change the way we do some things offensively. Those kids, a lot of those kids were in our offense for 4 years, so things that the way we signal, the way we call things. We had to change that up, and we'll be using some different things that. To make sure that we're sound there, and but once the game starts, everyone can say, hey, we know what this is, we know what they do with it. Communicating that to the field, being able to actually execute those kind of things is a different story in that kind of environment. So we're going to go out, we're going to play hard, play fast. We do have some offensive things that we did have to change up and just be smart with. But other than that, I mean, it's about kids, man. It's about coaching kids, having them ready to play. They're going to have their kids ready to play, and we got to go out and execute.
Now, a guy like TJ Banks for Northridge, obviously a highly recruited guy, plays as a defensive back, but obviously he's utilized multiple different ways. He's been used on offense this year. Do you have an inside scoop how to limit a guy like that with that much talent?
TJ is a super talented kid. He's as gifted an athlete as you'll see at any level. And no, you can't limit him. He plays a little bit of everything, and you gotta keep him from having big plays. You gotta get him on the ground when you have an opportunity, and he's if you don't get multiple people to him, he's tough to tackle. So you got to get multiple people to him. He came in to us as a running back and as a freshman, and we realized really quick that he was a different kind of freshman, and we moved him very quickly to corner, which was an area of need, which he didn't really want to do at the time. But I think he started every game there. At corner since. So, phenomenal player, phenomenal athlete, and hard worker, and he's a kid that you got to keep an eye on wherever he is.
Is that a guy that you have to scheme for when you're on offense, try to avoid his side of the field sometimes?
Well, what they do defensively is a little different. You got to know where he is. I mean, if you can't put the ball in jeopardy on his side of the field. But they don't play a lot of man. They're a more zone-based team, and that allows them to play a little bit more both ways because they're not playing as much man. But they very rarely get into kind of a lockdown corner situation. They're a lot more zone-based team, and but you definitely have to know where he is because he's going to go get it if it's in the air. So you got to be smart with the football and not put it in jeopardy.
I know their offensive identity has changed drastically. What does that look like, and how do we prepare for that unique look?
Yeah, they're big. Big. It's a different style of offense that we've seen all year, and it definitely has changed. They a wing, no wideouts, but then they will go 3 or 4 wideouts. So they'll spread it out some. A young, talented quarterback, and we have to be big in the box, control our gaps, control. Not get pushed off the line, control the line of scrimmage, and then tackle. I mean, it becomes kind of sometimes like a rugby scrum in there, and those extra 2, 3, 4 yards is what they're looking for, and you got to get them on the ground and stop forward progress and get them on the ground and make them snap it again. And it's tough to do. It's easy to say, but it's tough to do because they got a bunch of big, strong bodies in there pushing.
Yeah, this is a Northridge team that's won 7 of 8 now, right? 7-3, obviously a better overall record than y'all, even being a lower seed, though. And I also know there's a lot of people that probably think that they're the favorites in this one. Does that give y'all any extra push, extra motivation?
I don't think so. I mean, I think, we've taken every game that we play the same way. I mean, with the same approach. And we haven't played a bad football team yet. So our kids know that. This is another good football team that we're going to go out and prepare for. We can't make mistakes, and we can't give up big plays. If we can win turnovers and not give up big plays, we're going to be in pretty good shape. And that's kind of the approach going into every game. And hasn't really changed going into this one. Again, it's a playoff game. Our kids are excited about that. But I don't think the extra motivation is coming from records or anything like that. I think it's coming from just the fact that it's playoff time and we got to get over the hump of 16 years without a playoff win.
What do you look at it when you look in the mirror for our team? What are the keys to improvement to have success Friday?
Got to sustain drives. You don't have very many opportunities against them. They're going to limit your possessions. By controlling the ball, controlling the clock, and so we have to sustain drives and get points when at least get in scoring position. When we have the opportunity. I think it's important that we're really good on first down, and I think it's really important defensively we're really good on first down because you want to get them in a position where they have to get out and do something different. You don't want them getting 3 or 4 yards in a cloud of dust type deal where they're continuing to move the chains and wear on you. So we got to be really big on first down on both sides of the ball, and then again offensively get in scoring position every time that we have the opportunity with the ball because you just don't know how many of those opportunities you're going to get.
You mentioned the 16 years. Pelham hasn't won a playoff game since 2006. I was graduating high school, so it's been a while.
I was at the game.
Is that something the guys talk about? I mean, that's before their time. They don't really remember it, the guys that are on the team now. I mean, is that something that's brought up and emphasized to kind of add a little something to this?
I think so. I mean, the other night, after the game, we talked about, playoffs, and I think I didn't know. I made the comment it's been a long time, and several of the kids said, yeah, Coach, it's been 16 years. So the kids knew, I didn't. So I think they know it. They understand that, and it's that extra motivation. Hey, you have an opportunity to leave a legacy, to leave something, here where other teams that have come before you, 16 teams in front of you have not been able to do it, and you have that opportunity. So definitely use that as motivation, and the kids are excited about that opportunity to kind of leave their mark on the program for sure.
Yeah, I want to see it. I'm ready to end the drought. I keep hearing about it from everybody else, so I'm right there with you. I'm ready for it.
With that said, how important is it to get a fast start in the game and kind of get some confidence early in this one?
It's huge. The fast start is really big. Anytime you're playing at home in playoffs, I mean, you got to weather some emotions in these kind of games, and if you can control that from the beginning and not have emotion, kind of take the brunt of the other team's emotions, then I think it definitely sets the tone for the rest of the game. It kind of settles everyone down. It puts a little bit more pressure on that visiting team who's in unfamiliar territory, so to speak. So obviously we want to start fast on both sides of the football, and they're saying the same thing. I think they'll take some shots early, try to get a big play early, and we just got to weather that storm and be aggressive in what we're doing from the first kick.
Should be a great one. That is this Friday, the playoff opener for your Pelham Panthers and Coach Vic against his former team, Northridge. We will take a quick break here. When we come back, we'll talk to several key players for the Panthers about this playoff matchup. We'll hear it from the player perspective. That is coming right up from Zapata Mexican Restaurant. You are listening to the Panther Pulse on 93.3 The River.
You can now do more without it costing you more. Alabama's attractions have come together to offer the all-in-one ticket that downloads to your mobile device. No matter how many attractions listed on the ticket you see during the time span you bought, your price stays the same. Pick the right ticket option that best fits your schedule, and then enjoy more attractions without spending more. All-in-one tickets for different areas of Alabama are available at alabama.travel and other places where online tickets are sold. Brought to you by Alabama Tourism Department, the ABA, and this station.
Zapata Mexican Restaurant is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River. Zapata is a local family-owned and operated business, proud to have been a part of the Pelham area for more than 20 years. They have more than 100 authentic and delicious Mexican dishes to choose from. There's something for everyone, from salads to steak fajitas to chicken fingers. They also have excellent vegetarian options and a kid-friendly menu. Zapata Mexican Restaurant, where Valleydale meets Highway 31 in Pelham.
Work is a part of all of us. Working drives us to push beyond what we thought was imaginable and allows us to come together again for the things that really matter. That's why the Alabama Department of Labor and the Alabama Career Center system is here to help you discover bigger opportunities than ever before. Visit your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the USDOL, PTA, and Federal WIOA, an Equal Opportunity Employer Program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
State Farm Insurance Agent Joseph Chambers is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River and all things Pelham. Joseph and his staff can take care of your home and auto insurance needs as well as life insurance. State Farm was recently ranked #1 by J.D. Power and Associates for life insurance customer satisfaction. Joseph's office is located in the Canyon Park Office Center. His number is 205-663-3276. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Back here at Zapata Mexican Restaurant, we have 4 Panthers with us here to talk all things playoffs. Joining us now, Keyshawn Griffin and Keon Brooks, representing the defense. How we doing, guys?
Good.
Great to have y'all with us. And so let's just talk to you guys about this playoff matchup. Big-time matchup under the lights at Ned Bearden Stadium. How are y'all preparing for the show on Friday?
Well, we know we're going against Coach Vic, former team. That's why we come in with more aggression. We know they're going to come with more aggression there. And we can't look past them because they actually seem like a decent team. So,
yeah, you're looking at a 3 seed. I know you talk about 3 seeds being y'all the above higher seed, but when you look at the team, they look like probably one of the better 3 seeds in the matchup. What do y'all see from them on film?
Well, like I said, yeah, we still see a better team than what imagine as yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Watching film, I feel like it's a totally different team from the ones we play. I'm excited though. I'm excited to play.
So, Keon, you mentioned that Coach Vic's former team. Do y'all have that extra fire to kind of say, hey, I know you came to Pelham. We want to show them what Pelham's all about.
Yeah, we got the fire. I mean, they definitely will have it too. They're gonna come thinking they have something to prove, thinking you got our coach. We're gonna show y'all who the better team.
Is there a difference in the preparation from regular season game? Have y'all noticed an upped intensity in practice from the other guys and sort of how everybody's conducting themselves this week?
No, it's no different because we don't want to change up everything as far as game plan, as far as preparation. We want to keep it the same.
No, I wouldn't say no, because I feel like we have to keep the intensity the same, from the first game to our last game.
And we talked to Coach about the playoff win drought, 16 years. He said some of the players talked about before he even knew about it. Is that something that y'all hear chatter about within the student body, friends, the team?
Yeah, every time we made it the first round, that's all we hear, the years. So it might be a little different this year because, with a new head coach and the intensity of him coming from the same team we're playing this Friday. So, yeah.
We'll start with you, Keon, with this. We talked to Coach about how unique this offense is and the challenges it's going to bring for you guys. Starting with that defensive line, what are you guys going to have to do to kind of neutralize the run and limit this offense?
We definitely have to play on their side of the ball every snap, no plays off. They have a big front, pretty good front, probably the best front we've seen all year. But like I said, no different in the preparation. It's just play on their side of the ball. Simple.
And Keyshawn, I know it's run heavy in that secondary. Is there a risk of you kind of being lulled to sleep when they do want to hit you with that deep ball? I mean, how do you kind of stay in that game when they're running the ball?
Most definitely not. I will not fall asleep. I feel like they have pretty good tight ends, so the whole back end is going to have to take care of that. I feel like we're going to be prepared for that.
And during the season, I mean, especially during that winning streak for the defense, it was all about turnovers, and that can hide a lot of issues that that y'all might have on either side of the ball. But when you're getting turnovers, you get wins. How much of that is a focus this week? Because 1 or 2 takeaways could really make the difference.
Yeah, and that just ties in with like me and you talked about we win a game, then the next game we have momentum going into it. We just need to build momentum and just keep it at that high level.
I feel like the last couple of years, you guys are more familiar with this than Coach, that we had the home playoff game. We had a lot of momentum coming in, and it feel like the energy got sucked out of the stadium early. How much would that mean for y'all to come out strong early, build a lead, and get that crowd involved?
Just start the game off like hitting them in the mouth. Like, just start the game off perfect. Not no mistakes. Got to limit our mistakes, definitely. And just play ball. No difference, just a regular game.
What would this mean for y'all to get this playoff win at home and break that drought?
It would mean a lot. Like, oh, my God, for the community and everybody.
Let's hear from our offensive guys now. Passing the mic, we have kicker Jake Gardner. I guess special teams guy. Jake, you might fashion yourself a receiver still. Is that right?
No.
No? Okay. that was quick. We got Vance Barker with us as well. Guys, how we doing?
We're good.
Well, Jake, all important. We got to start with you. The all-important question. We have speculated how far you think you are good from with the field goals. In your mind, where are you comfortable saying, Coach, I'm good to give it a try?
52.
52?
He has that number in his head. He knew it already.
I told Coach Anderson you'd say 55, but I wasn't too far off.
55 in practice.
Okay.
You can get to 55 eventually in a game, right?
So I do want to ask you guys, just preparation-wise, how's this week going? Do you feel a different energy, electricity in preparing for the playoffs?
Well, I would say there's a little bit of a difference because, like, it's not just the regular season where you have a game next week for certain. Like, Coach has been pounding, like, next week is a promise. So we got to get stuff done this week, and then we can focus on next week after we win.
I would just say, everybody focused. After the Spain Park game, everybody was, like, ready to go right after, and we were all ready for this week.
With a game like that, we've talked about how it's week 10, and as far as your destiny and who you're going to play, what's going on, we already knew what was going to shake out. So as far as a game like that, so many people sick, homecoming, all that, do you just kind of flush it and completely turn your attention to the task at hand in the playoffs, or do you kind of go back with that film to kind of make some corrections?
Well, we completely just flushed it. Vic, Coach Vic, right after the game was like, we had a bunch of people out. We had a bunch of people sick. We hate losing, but you got to move on. You cannot let that get in your head, and you got to focus on the next week because that's what really matters. We love to win, but the playoffs is where it matters.
What's that intensity like in practice now when you make that switch, in your head? How does that change from practices that y'all have had the past 10 weeks?
Well, it's the practice now is just like they are pounding us. Even if you get the tiniest little thing wrong, they're pounding it in our heads to get it right because there's no more excuses. There's no more miscommunications. Like, you got to have it dialed for this week, especially now it's Tuesday. Monday was to get all of our new stuff in, and Tuesday was the day to really start pounding.
Well, speaking of pounding, I do got to ask about the running game. That is a huge part of this game is us establishing the run. We know they're going to want to run the ball. Time of possession is going to matter. You're in that spot to really pave the way for those backs. What does that mean for you, and what mentality do you bring in this to establish a run game for Pelham?
Well, my mentality is, I've been watching film, and, their D-line, they're still pretty solid. Their whole real box is still pretty solid. But they don't have the stars or the recruiting like last week. So it gives me a little bit better mentality that I know I can go block these people. Like last week, coming into the game, I was a little suspicious about my abilities. But, this week I'm really turning it on. I know I can block them. And, they run the three-man front, which that should mean we should be able to pound it down their throat all night.
So you feel good after that defensive line in Spain Park, big-time recruits, that you think that's going to help us?
Oh, yeah.
That's multiple 7A teams y'all played this year. Y'all played some big defensive fronts. How does that prepare you for a playoff run? Not even just Northridge, but knowing that, y'all have gone up against maybe the toughest lines you're going to see for the rest of the year already.
Well, I think it really gives our whole line just confidence now because, like I said, they don't have the stars and this. They're still good. They could still come out and shut us out, but we're confident as an O-line that we think we can run the ball all night.
Jake, going into a playoff game where emotions in your position play a big part of it. It's almost like a three-point shooter. You're hot, you are hot, and when the struggles come out, it can be tough to kind of regain that. You have such a slim margin for error. You know, is it any different in the playoffs, or do you just kind of play without the pressure?
I mean, not really. It's just calm, cool, and collected.
What's that when you're working on a special teams unit? I mean, the relationship that you have to have between your line, your snapper, your holder. What's that like, especially in those big moments when you all have to keep each other calm and, you know, you're not just focusing on yourself?
I mean, it's really important because, I mean, if you don't have a good snap, you're not going to have a good hold. And if you don't have a good hold, you're not going to have a good kick. So people who, like, just focus on one part of it really don't – they don't know, like, the whole story of it because, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Vance, before we go, I do got to rewind a couple weeks back to Benjamin Russell, the touchdown catch you make, sealed the deal, and it was just it was a fun moment for everybody. What was going through your head in that touchdown?
Well, you know, I didn't even really believe that I caught it. Once I actually did, so much was going on. I grew up playing tight end, and I scored one touchdown in park ball on a little out route. So once Vic told me that I was finally going to be able to get the ball from that tight end position in practice, you know, I was really thinking like, okay, we're putting this play in, but we're never really going to run it. And there was actually a point in believe it was the second quarter, we were actually going to run one of the formations that I do run a go route to get the ball, but then we ended up messing it up on the field, and we had to call timeout, and they had already seen what we were doing, so we just decided to completely change it. But we did end up scoring. But once we got to that, it was 4th and 6 on the goal, or it was 4th and 6, and, like, the first down was on, like, the 1. And I didn't think Vic was going to call it because we went and we tried to, you know, draw him off sides. And then he called timeout because we couldn't get him to jump. Then we came over there. And once he said I started getting nervous. I started freaking out. But, you know, Clayton made a good throw. I made a good catch.
Made a good catch. There you go. And sealed that big win. Well, guys, best of luck on Friday. Looking forward to the show. We will take a quick break here. When we come back, we will switch gears to PHS softball. Coach Mack is here, several of her players as well. That is coming up here from Zapata. You were listening to the Panther Pulse on 93.3 The River.
State Farm Insurance Agent Joseph Chambers is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River and all things Pelham. Joseph and his staff can take care of your home and auto insurance needs as well as life insurance. State Farm was recently ranked #1 by J.D. Power and Associates for life insurance customer satisfaction. Joseph's office is located in the Canyon Park Office Center. His number is 205-663-3276. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The skills you can develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you an edge in the high-tech job market of tomorrow. The Guard offers career training to take advantage of your skills in science, technology, engineering, and math that can help give you a leg up to a high-paying and rewarding STEM profession. Get a head start on your career while earning money to pay for college. Log on to NationalGuard.com to learn about all of the STEM career opportunities in the Army National Guard. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station. The Army National Guard is committed to keeping the country safe and our communities secure. Composed of hundreds of thousands of citizen soldiers from all walks of life, the Guard is always ready to respond to local or national emergencies. We protect the homeland. We're always there when called upon, and in every state and territory, we stand guard for our communities. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com. Sponsored by the Alabama Army National Guard. Aired by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
Zapata Mexican Restaurant is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River. Zapata is a local family-owned and operated business. Proud to have been a part of the Pelham area for more than 20 years. They have more than 100 authentic and delicious Mexican dishes to choose from. There's something for everyone, from salads to steak fajitas to chicken fingers. They also have excellent vegetarian options and a kid-friendly menu. Zapata Mexican Restaurant, where Valleydale meets Highway 31 in Pelham.
Back here at Zapata Mexican Restaurant, the Panther Pulse continues here. We do want to thank our sponsors for the Panther Pulse, Joseph Chambers, your State Farm Insurance Agent, and Zapata Mexican Restaurant. Joining us now, Coach Mack, Rachel McClure here with PHS Softball. Coach, how you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you. And also with you tonight, we have Jessica Gray and Gabby Talbert, who are going to be chatting with us. Jessica double dipping, talked all things bowling, and now we're talking softball. So great to have you guys as well. So, Coach, we'll start with you. We did talk during the break that you've had the evaluations, what I used to call tryouts. We call evaluations now.
It's an official term.
Yeah, so how's sort of the off-season been as the off-season continues and those evaluations and just where the team's at right now?
Okay, sure. So we've had the evaluations, thought they went really well. Have a lot of talent coming back. Still going to be pretty young, but very hopeful. The girls have been getting after it in the weight room. Workout about 4 days a week, give them 1 day off. Coach Payne has them through a pretty rigorous workout program, and I would probably stack them up against any other female sport at the high school because they embrace the workouts, and they've done a very good job. So that part is looking really good. We're about to start some of our preseason stuff. We're allowed a few weeks to get that going. So we're going to start some of that. We do have kids in other sports, so we're not going to truly know what we have till probably a few weeks before game day because we've got a few in basketball. So we know that they'll have another good run this year. So yeah, we're just piecing it all together.
So how does that preseason practice, the stuff that you get, how does that kind of change what you're doing from just normal workouts? And then how do you acclimate the other athletes in to kind of assess where you're at?
Right. So we do. I'm big on the face-to-face communication with the other athletes. The ones in the other sport, making sure they're doing their stuff on their end. We've got a lot that play travel ball that also take lessons and do things. So I feel pretty confident about where they are, and the girls know as well. So it's just about meshing, and it's about having the unity and that kind of thing. And I'll be honest, it's looking really good so far. I'm hoping I'm not jinxing it, but from what I've seen so far, the girls have done a fantastic job. They get along with each other, and we get in there and get work done.
What's the off season like when you're looking at all the travel ball teams and different teams that your girls might be on, especially with travel ball being probably more accessible than it's been ever with so many different teams? What's that been like to help y'all grow as a program?
Yeah, it's almost, I feel like here in Birmingham and coming from Prattville, but here in Birmingham it's almost like it's almost the necessity to even compete at this level. And so, it's not always cost efficient, so we stress to the girls if there's any way you can just get the field time, get the lessons, do what you can, work with somebody, then that's what we can do. And again, a lot of our girls have resorted to doing that, and it really has made a difference.
Well, I know anybody that drives onto the campus of PHS sees there's still a lot of work in progress around the softball facilities. What all renovations have happened in and around the facilities?
Well, I don't know that I could list it all and give it the credit it needs. But, I just first off want to thank the Board of Education, Coach Kill, Floyd Collins, and even Sean has helped us kind of navigate this whole process. Super exciting. When it's all said and done, I feel as if we'll probably have one of the best fields in the state. But we've had everything, basically tearing it from the ground, literally the ground down and even below, but all kinds of painting, tearing out fencing, new paint job with everything, and obviously the turf, foul poles, bullpens, backstop, new netting, new scoreboard. It's just new everything pretty much.
From your perspective, what does that do for coaching morale and kind of building things up and excitement around the program?
Yeah, I feel like for anything, and hopefully girls can speak to that, this can be something that they're super proud of. I know, I'm using baseball as a motivation, how well they did this year with their turf. So, I think it can definitely be something that the girls would be proud to play on and to represent. There's lots of players of the past that have already reached out to me like, I can't believe this is happening. This is so exciting. So I want to make sure we stress that to the girls, and hopefully it will make them feel as if they're top notch, and be able to showcase that.
Now you're looking at the season. You mentioned maybe not really knowing your team until just a few weeks before really that throwing period starts. But in softball, when it's so tournament oriented, and there's really nothing really matters until the end of the year. How do you kind of use that to build goals throughout the season, waiting until the ultimate goal, which is obviously once postseason begins?
Right. Yeah, so I would say that last year we had a pretty tough schedule, and we didn't go light. And I think it prepared us because we had a pretty tough area. Our area had the state runner-up and fourth place team. So it really wasn't an easy road for us to get there, and I feel like that was the only way we would have a chance. This year, the area's changed a little bit, so we've got a little bit of a different schedule in hopes that maybe that can prepare us for where we need for that. But, yeah, we're, try to have tournaments sprinkled throughout the whole season, get exposure to different types. We've got a few tournaments where it's just a round robin, you play teams and you're done, and then we've got the pool play and elimination, so try to vary that as well. So we've got a variety of things throughout the season. And, I feel pretty good about where it is to prepare us for the playoffs.
Real quick before we talk to the girls, we have seen so much realignment with teams and regions in football. What does this new area look like for us?
So it's 3-team, which is different from me. I don't know that I've been a head coach with a 3-team area, so it's just Helena Briarwood and us. So it's even different than baseball, which is odd. They'd never really usually do it like that. But, I feel pretty good. We know that we've played Helena ever since I've moved to Pelham, so we know that we know what they have, but we know that we can compete with them. We have beaten them, and we've played Briarwood in years past as well, so we know that I feel good with our chances, especially if we are hitting on all cylinders at the right time. You got to have a little bit of that going on too, and I feel pretty good about where we are if we can all compete as a team.
Well, let's hear from the girls now.
Absolutely.
Jessica and Gabby with us, and so let's just hear from student perspective, off season still, but how do you feel about how workouts have been going and where the team's at right now?
Well, Coach Payne actually had us do another maxing out, and that was great to see your progress. I know I've gained 20 pounds more on my back squat, so it's little things she's helping us to really see how far we've been coming and how good we've been doing, which is workouts and staying with it.
I would say with our plan with loading up and then deloading and everything, it's one of those things that you have to thoroughly do the workout that she is giving to us, and it gives you that motivation. So when you hit the top weight week, that you aren't falling behind and struggling. It's one of those things that motivates yourself to kind of compete with everybody else because we're all working alongside each other. I mean, obviously, we're cheering each other on, helping each other. Like Jess said, during that max week, we were all helping each other out, but it's good motivation. It's a good way to see your growth, and that it's a good confidence boost.
And when you're looking, obviously year-round sports with softball and stuff, when you're talking travel ball, how tough is it for y'all as players to go from travel ball to try to get right back into your team, especially when you're trying to do both, when it's workouts and then back to travel ball? Is that tough for y'all to maybe keep them straight?
I know for me, I do travel ball just to help me be ready for the Pelham softball season, and it's I have a couple girls from Pelham and from areas around, and we just all kind of come together, and it's just we all know we're kind of there for our school team, but we also love just to play softball, and we want to play it year-round. So it's it's not that hard to switch between because it's just, a small group that you play with, and it's your friends, and then you just come to what you're really here for, where your Pelham softball team or wherever you're from.
I'll say, but since it is a small group, you have that chance to really connect with your teammates. And I know my travel ball team, we're from all over. So I'm learning all these different things from all different areas of Alabama. I'll say even some girls from out of state. So I'm learning so many new things that I'll be able to apply in school season that maybe I can help some other girls learn about, or just kind of teach those younger than me to kind of keep upholding that Pelham name.
What's that competition like when you get back into school and you see one of your teammates across the field? Is that fun?
Yeah, it really is. It's that subtle competition where you see who's better. But I know for me, really, this year with the people I've met, there's more. I'm going to see people around me from my travel ball team.
I'll say it can be kind of weird. It's one of those things like when you see your teacher at Walmart. It's you're not. I usually don't see you like this. So it is kind of weird seeing them across the different line, but I'll say it definitely kind of adds to that fun environment because you've played with them just as much as you've played with the people at school. So it kind of makes you more comfortable, if anything. I'll say it gives you a little bit of insight to what you're up against, but I'll say it, again, good motivation.
So you guys upperclassmen, as Coach Mack said, younger team still, how do you guys kind of lead and set an example for the younger players?
It's one of those things, especially with this younger team, you really do have to lead by example. So they're watching, and again, as someone who was the lower class, I always watched what the upperclassmen were doing. And so I kind of took that for myself, and I lead by example. So I make sure to focus on my grades, my behavior on and off the field. I make sure that I'm surrounding myself and the girls with a good example to follow by.
Yeah, I would say when I was just a freshman, which seemed like it just flew by, thinking about the seniors.
Just wait.
Yeah, no. The thing about the seniors I was with, I mean, they were just such hard workers and always willing to do whatever was asked of them. And so it's like, I see myself now and I'm like, okay, I got to do what they did because they were able to get me to where I'm at Pelham softball. So I want to do the same for even the 8th graders who were with me when I was a freshman or now, just freshmen.
So real quick, some team goals that you guys have for the season before we go?
See, I think we need to, like Mac was talking about our schedule, we have some harder competition, but we also have some little confidence boosters. But I think not judging the other team by what we've heard about them. We need to play every single game the same, come in with the same mindset to come in, get after it, get all the hits in quick, little to no errors, and really just get after it no matter what, I guess, what we hear about the team.
And I think also just work on our sense of family and bringing everyone together and just being as close as we can, because the more we work together, the better we do. And so.
Absolutely.
Now, I will say before we go, you talk about any game, any team looking at the same. Obviously, you got to be thinking about chasing Helena, especially after what they accomplished last year, being back in the area. We talked Helena football rivalry. We know it's every sport. What's that chase going to be like for y'all this year?
Oh, I know. Even me, I came from Prattville too when I was a freshman, and just I heard so much about Helena, and it's just all about Helena. We got to win that game, and it's something we're always striving for. We're watching them, watching how we're doing, and just the motivation for them is definitely there.
I'll say Helena's always given us a good run, and we had that one game a couple years ago that we won, and everybody's mouths just dropped, and it was absolutely insane. I'm really hoping that we can leave that mark this year too.
We're hoping for it. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. Coach Mack, Gabby, and Jessica, we will come back and close things out with PHS baseball. Coach Anderson, several of his guys with us to talk about the upcoming season. That is coming up from Zapata. You were listening to the Panther Pulse on 93.3 The River.
Zapata Mexican Restaurant is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River. Zapata is a local family-owned and operated business, proud to have been a part of the Pelham area for more than 20 years. They have more than 100 authentic and delicious Mexican dishes to choose from. There's something for everyone, from salads to steak fajitas to chicken fingers. They also have excellent vegetarian options and a kid-friendly menu. Zapata Mexican Restaurant, where Valleydale meets Highway 31 in Pelham.
State Farm Insurance Agent Joseph Chambers is a proud supporter of 93.3 The River and all things Pelham. Joseph and his staff can take care of your home and auto insurance needs as well as life insurance. State Farm was recently ranked #1 by J.D. Power & Associates for life insurance customer satisfaction. Joseph's office is located in the Canyon Park Office Center. His number is 205-663-3276. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If you're experiencing a temporary financial hardship and are struggling to pay your mortgage, we may be able to help you keep your home. Hardest Hit Alabama is a federally funded foreclosure prevention program. If you qualify, Hardest Hit Alabama can pay your mortgage payments on your behalf or provide other forms of assistance. We've helped thousands of Alabama homeowners, and we may be able to help you. Visit hardesthitalabama.com to learn more. Brought to you by Hardest Hit Alabama, the Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Coach Nick Saban.
Helping children is very important to Miss Terry and me. As parents, it saddens us to know that there are more than 5,000 children in foster care in Alabama. These children need loving, nurturing families to care for them. We ask you to join the team and become champions for children by opening your heart, opening your home, and becoming a foster or adoptive parent.
For more information, call 1-866-4AL-KIDS. Sponsored by the Alabama Department of Human Resources, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Back here from Zapata Mexican Restaurant here on the Panther Pulse. And closing out the show, we have PHS Baseball. Coach Anderson with us, Durbin Stewart, Trent McMahon. How we doing, guys?
Great. How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. And we'll jump right in. certainly want to spend some time talking about the magical run last spring. Nothing like it that I've seen. Something else. So let's start into the regular season. We see the bleached hair from all the guys for making the playoffs.
Right.
In your mind, what were the goals going into those playoffs?
Just go play and have a good time. That was my goal for them. And for me, coaching for so long, watching these guys celebrate and have a great time and enjoy the game that I've been coaching for over 30 years is awesome. That was the most fun of all of it. But just, we wanted to go out and we wanted to do what we do. We wanted to play the game the way we play the game, and they did that, and it was amazing.
And when you're looking at that run, obviously multiple game threes, I think that's the most exciting part of that. Usually don't see that many game threes in a single run like that, where especially when the same team is winning them. What's that like when it's coming down to that one winner go home game every single time?
Well, I guess it was kind of just, it was what it was. We weren't supposed to be there. We were playing on borrowed money, so it was more relaxing for me this year from the 13 team or the 15 team, because you're supposed to do it, and we weren't supposed to do it this year, and these guys did it anyway. Those guys last year and these guys here with us tonight, there was no change in what they did and how they prepared, and they were relaxed and they had a good time, and they truly believed that every game they played they were going to win. It was amazing. It really was.
Do you feel like the fact that there was less pressure on us kind of played to our advantage in those game threes especially?
Well, occasionally out here in the locker room on the way through to the office, nobody gives us a chance. There was a podcast out there that I think PBR does that never picked us to win a series. I always said this was too strong or this, and they started writing that stuff on the board as motivational stuff, and I think they had something to prove, and I think they did a pretty good job doing it.
Obviously, the run itself is impressive, but at the end, you run into a really, really good Hartselle team. There's no shame in losing that one for sure. What can you do when you play a program like that? What can you take and be like, obviously the run was great, but that's the program. That's where we want to be.
Well, that's kind of hard, and I'm sure they're not listening up there, but they had one kid from Hartselle on their roster, on their starting nine. The rest of them were moving guys, and, we're fortunate in our community to have the kids that we have and the great kids that we have and the character kids that we have. And will we ever get there? Yes, it is possible. But, if we don't go actively recruit, that's not going to happen. And, I probably said that over an open mic, and I shouldn't have, but, that's just the way it is these days. And I wouldn't trade these guys, last year's guys, for anything.
But do you feel a renewed kind of energy with the program, excitement? I certainly feel it from an outsider perspective, but within the program, was there kind of revitalization of sorts with the guys?
For me personally, there was, and it was because of the type of kids that we had last year in the program. Not that there was anything wrong with the other kids, but there's something different about these now seniors who were juniors and the seniors that graduated and the way they got along and bonded and did what they did. That's my hope, is that what we did last year carries over with this group of seniors that was there with us the whole time, and it filters from them down into the younger guys.
And so now what's this offseason look like for y'all in preparation, coming off of that, trying to carry stuff over? What have y'all been doing?
No different. We picked up where we left off last fall. We live 3 days a week in the morning at 5:50 in the morning. Then we have our 7th period class where we do different things during the afternoon, and we try to put them in a competitive mode, either in the weight room against themselves or against a teammate, and then in the afternoon, competitive things, whether it be jump rope or agilities or sprints or whatever, where we're constantly competing either against ourselves or against somebody else or a group, and pushing each other to get that competitiveness, so when you get to that game where you have to go up just a little bit, that jump's easier.
Competition is against an alarm clock. If I have to get up at 5:50, that's not okay.
So as far as this team, I know we had a lot of influential seniors last year that have moved on. What does this year's team look like, and kind of makeup of the guys you have now?
It's not really a lot different. It's a great group of seniors again. To me, the special thing about last year's seniors and this year's seniors, last year's seniors, our GPA, cumulative GPA over the 8 seniors was 3.61. This year, our cumulative GPA on our seniors is 3.8. So, we're getting it done in the classroom, which transfers over to the weight room, it transfers over to the afternoon conditioning, and it transfers over to the field. They understand hard work and what it takes to be successful. And this group really is no different than last year's group. The only difference is less of them played last year because we had 8 seniors. Now these guys are going to be the ones playing, and next year's group is going to have to step up as well. And they're great examples of what you need to do as a student athlete in the classroom to make yourself a better ball player.
So when you talk about last year's run and not, getting there on borrowed money, not expecting, or not necessarily expecting, but no one else expecting y'all to be there, when you have it again this year, is there pressure to replicate it?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they'll feel it. I really don't. I mean, again, we're going to go into the season probably as underdogs again because we don't have the big name, we don't have the big signees, we don't have all that stuff going on, and so we're just going to go do what we do and play the way Pelham plays and let everything unfold from there.
Well, let's hear from some of our guys now. We got Durbin Stewart, Trent McMahon with us. Guys, how we doing?
Pretty good. How are you?
Well, Durbin, I'm doing great. We'll start with you, Durbin. From the players' perspective, I mean, just what was last year like? As you got further into the playoffs, just how magical was that run from a player perspective?
Well, before spring break, we were all still trying to figure out like our role on the team, whether it was playing, whether it was just cheering from the sidelines, just picking everybody up. And then we hit spring break. We went down to IMG, and when we were down there, I'm going to be honest, we weren't really caring about winning or losing. I mean, obviously we wanted to win, but at the end of the day, it was more about just having fun, hanging out, playing baseball with this group of guys. And I think that kind of transferred over our mentality into the playoffs. Because, as like Coach said, we weren't really expecting to win. So that winning had, nothing on us. We just went in there, had fun, and just played baseball, and it was a magical run.
Trent, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I really feel like towards that playoff run, we had a change of mentality, and it was like we knew we were going to win, and we became a lot more confident in ourselves and our teammates and their abilities, and that really helped us be able to go so far.
And now, obviously, in baseball and softball, spring sports, a lot of things are different. Where a lot of those regular season games don't necessarily matter. Does that help y'all to where you do get to the point where you need those wins in those area games and then in the playoffs? Does it help you just be able to wipe everything else away that happened the rest of the season?
Yeah, I definitely feel that it does. It also gives us the opportunity to find our spot on the team and really know who's going to be playing what and who needs to be doing what.
Yeah, I agree with Trent. I think the regular season game just kind of help us, kind of just helps us know where we got to be able to beat the certain teams that we play. Because obviously, when area games come, that's when we got to be the strongest. That's when we got to do our best. Because we have to win those games as our must-win games, and I think regular season will help us our mentality to kind of push through our tough challenges to win.
What do y'all take from last year as far as, in the locker room, leadership to the younger guys and just culture within a team from the success that you had last year?
Well, our seniors played a really big part in that. They great leaders to us. They showed us how to be responsible, on and off the field and in and out of the locker room. So we just want to, fill in those big shoes that they left us and teach our younger guys to do the same.
Yeah, I really feel like before the playoff run, we didn't have as strong of leadership. And during the playoff run, that's when the seniors started to step up and be real leaders to us. And I feel like I want to start that now instead of waiting until the end of the season. So really trying to be a leader in the weight room and in the locker room to all of the underclassmen.
So now I know we're running late, but I have to ask, y'all went blind last year. Do we have a different plan for this year? What gets you all the way through to the title?
Y'all
don't have to do anything, right? Y'all need to pick up your own color.
Yeah, we'll just keep playing baseball, keep playing the same, just have a good time out there, and
Yeah, just keep that confident winning mentality. Just going in knowing that the game is ours to take.
I know y'all still got, the blonde is still there, and y'all rock it well.
I thought Coach was going to bring it out. I didn't know.
He's got that a little of that Foster heritage going for him. But I know there were some upset parents there, you know, and we kind of laughed about it, like, oh, yeah, like especially with the seniors. It's like, I got graduation, I'm going to have this blonde hair. I think that that opinion changed after the run. It was something kind of a badge of honor. Did y'all experience any of that? Did you hear any of it, from the parents?
Maybe a little bit. I guess some of the guys were really hesitant to bleach their hair at first, but the deeper we went, the more the better we felt about doing it. It was more of like a symbolism of being on the team, and like that's how people recognized you and noticed you. And you'd be out in public and they'd be like, "Oh, look, he plays for Pelham baseball." And it was really cool.
Absolutely. Well, we as Caleb said, we are past out of time, but great show here tonight. Yeah. Absolutely. Appreciate you guys being here, and look forward to another great season. That will do it again. Want to thank all of our guests, Coach Mack, her players, Coach Anderson, his guys, and Coach Vic and his players. That will do it for us here at Zapata. Again, thanks to our sponsors, Joseph Chambers, your State Farm Insurance agent, and Zapata Mexican Restaurant. For our engineer, Braden George, for Caleb Turntine, I am Justin Foster. Good night, and as always, go Panthers.